Hello and welcome back to Wavelengths. It's still a show about video game news, and I'm still Brendan Bigley, coming to you live from a very gloomy day in Brooklyn, New York. A little inside baseball about how I make this show, but usually, because I'm trying to achieve a specific vibe on the podcast, and I guess in the video as well, I usually am listening to music really, really loud in my headphones while I'm recording. And this is a thing I've been doing since I was working at my previous job, which was called Anchor, which is now Spotify for podcasters. But I used to do a lot of hosting and just scripting and reading. And at one point, we turned my voice into a Siri adjacent kind of assistant thing, which just involved sitting in a recording studio for, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, just recording from 9 to 5, which was wild. But I picked up this habit then because honestly, going back really far, back into high school days, I was always really self-conscious about my voice. I don't know why that was the case. But I got into making YouTube videos when I was in high school. I had a vlog that was short-lived that I specifically started making so I could kind of get over the sound of hearing my own voice. But as much as I have gotten over that, and I don't mind hearing it, and I don't mind editing it, I do mind hearing it while I'm recording. So what I found is a fun kind of workaround there is if I'm blasting music in my headphones while I'm recording, what that means is that I don't have to hear myself talk, but also I can choose the music that I'm listening to help maybe subconsciously elicit the vibe that I'm trying to accomplish in the episode, or in the segment even. I sometimes change it depending on the segment. But today I'm listening to a 10-hour loop of the cafe music from Persona 5 Royal with also rain sounds in another tab in the background. I'll actually just take the link and just throw it in the description and in the show notes if you want to listen to it yourself as well. I find it helps for working. This is not a hot take that listening to nice, relaxing music helps you focus. Dude, meditating? It's great. So why am I making an episode of Wavelengths today? I've said that I will only make episodes when there's news that I find interesting, and there is a piece of news that launched this morning that ties back to a YouTube short I posted yesterday at the time of this recording, which was all about these two disparate rumors. Number one was that Tom Henderson, who is an industry insider, was saying that there is another unannounced PlayStation device that he hasn't seen anybody else report on. Alongside that, there are a lot of deep dives into this new device that Asus is building called the ROG Ally, the Republic of Gamers, which I think is the funniest branding of all time. But anyway, they have this thing coming out called the ROG Ally that they've been kind of sending around, having press events for, which is essentially a Steam Deck competitor. It runs Windows instead of Linux, so it's not running like Steam OS, but the fact that it runs Windows straight up means it's pretty extensible, I think. It's also smaller and, according to Asus at least, twice as powerful as the Steam Deck. Literally 2x is what they're claiming. And there have been some rumors saying that the pricing is going to be pretty reasonable, especially compared to the Steam Deck. It's going to be comparable, maybe $700 or $800 for the terabyte model, which is pretty competitive with the higher end Steam Deck, especially for a smaller and more powerful device. But the big thing, and the thing that was interesting about it, to me at least, was that Microsoft is apparently slapping their branding on it, and helping Asus promote this thing and market this thing, kind of positioning it as it's a Steam Deck competitor, but it also has access to Game Pass for PC, and it also has access to Xbox cloud gaming. So there are a lot of ways in which the Asus ROG Ally can stand in as the Microsoft handheld if they wanted to. They also did this recently with that LG cloud device, which I think didn't go over very well, but this seems a little bit more positioned to be successful because, like I mentioned, it's extensible. It's not just a thing for playing Game Pass on. It also allows you to download any Windows game, or if you wanted to, download Steam and play things via the Steam Big Picture mode. According to the tech YouTuber Dave 2D, apparently the thing is going to be sold in Best Buys, which means it's going to be widely available in a way that the Steam Deck wasn't for a long time. A lot of interesting stuff about the ROG Ally. It's not even why I'm here to talk about it. The thing that I'm more interested in is that Microsoft is apparently putting their brand on it because they want to position it against this rumored PlayStation handheld device that people in the industry seem to know about. Those two rumors in conjunction with one another kind of indicated, I think, to most people that PlayStation was working on some kind of handheld device. And Tom Henderson this morning posted an article kind of detailing what it's all about. He has a post on Insider Gaming saying that this thing is called the Q Lite internally, but specifically that it's not a cloud streaming device, but instead just uses remote play with the PlayStation 5. It's got an 8-inch LCD touchscreen in the middle that supports 1080p and 60 frames per second, but apparently the controller that's kind of wrapped around this screen has all of the same features of the DualSense, which is interesting. I think that's pretty cool. Apparently this device and some rumored headphones, both earbuds and over-ear headphones, alongside a detachable disk drive for people who only have the digital version of the PS5, all of this is supposed to be in support of what Sony is calling the next phase of the PlayStation 5, which, like, I could get so into that by itself because I have a lot of weird feelings about the fact that we are moving into a second phase of this generation of consoles when it feels like this generation of consoles has just started still. But just to focus on this handheld device in particular, I'm really confused by it. I was really excited about it initially because I'm a huge fan of the PlayStation Vita. I love the idea of gaming handhelds becoming a wider market. I think the Switch has had just like an immense impact on the way people expect to play games now. The Steam Deck also is kind of shifting people's expectations, and this Asus ROG Ally seems like it's kind of headed in the right direction, and Microsoft kind of slapping their branding on it really does aid that in a lot of ways, whereas this device by itself is more just confusing than anything else. First of all, it being 8 inches screen-wise is huge. That's a huge screen. So it's not exactly a pocketable or portable device, really. It's a thing that I imagine most people won't feel comfortable, like, you know, bringing with them on the go. But also, to that point, you can't bring it with you on the go because it only uses remote play. So what you're really left with is a device that needs a constant internet connection connected to another device that's in your house that also has a constant internet connection. So you can play the games that you've already downloaded on that device that's already in your house, also in your house, but in a handheld format. It's like, it boggles the mind. And I'll be honest, I don't really know what I expected out of this thing. I guess I was kind of hoping for something more Vita adjacent, but in hindsight, especially after posting that YouTube short, that seems totally unrealistic of a thing to think about, especially when you consider what Sony has said about the PlayStation Vita. I really like the PlayStation Vita. I think it's an amazing device. I got one and enjoyed the remote play side of it. But I would be lying if I said that remote play was the reason that I bought the PlayStation Vita. I bought it for the games that could run on the Vita. It was a great device for indie games. It was a great device for like re-releases of PS2 games. They had a lot of trilogies on there, which was really fun, like Jak and Daxter and Sly Cooper and God of War and all those things. I really appreciated all of that about the PlayStation Vita. The idea of Sony releasing a new PlayStation handheld that doesn't have its own library of games, but is only playable if you're connected to the internet and are playing PlayStation 5 games is like, I just don't understand it. I just don't. And I don't want to dunk on it too much because, you know, it's not even announced technically. It's a rumored device. But when I think about the idea of PlayStation 5 remote play, the first thing I think about is the fact that I can already do that on my iPhone, and I can already do that on like the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus that I have. I imagine, I don't know if this is true, but I imagine I could already do it on the Steam Deck if I was to guess. And I think the weirdest thing of all of this for me is the fact that PlayStation lended their branding and helped Backbone create a PlayStation-branded version of the Backbone 1 for iPhones and now also for Android devices. If you don't know the Backbone, it's a little like controller shell that clamps onto the sides of your phone and allows you to play games with, you know, a full controller. And the whole idea behind that was put this Sony-branded Backbone 1 on your iPhone, download the PlayStation Plus Remote Play app, and guess what? Now you have your PlayStation 5 on the go. It's weird to have done that and also be developing this separate device that is just that. Like if you're to give me the option between what I imagine will be like at least a $200 device, probably more, or a $99 Backbone 1 that I could just like throw on my iPhone, I'm going to pick the cheaper thing that is also better, to be clear. Like, the iPhone screen is better than the screen that is rumored to be on this device as well. So use the device that's already in my pocket or spend another $200 to $250 on a second device that only does one thing. Because even when you compare it against something like the ROG Ally, like at least that is a device that does a whole lot, right? It is going to be branded as the Microsoft handheld device, but you could also download Steam on there. And I know I'm putting a lot of stock in like just what Tom Henderson has listed in this article on his website, but until I get more information about what this can do outside of just playing games via remote play, I am a very confused person. Even as somebody who is like frequently trying to go to bat for how cool handhelds have become over the past couple of years. Anyway, I'm going to call it there. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of Wavelengths. Like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much to everybody who has found the show over the past couple days. That's been kind of exciting because I still technically haven't announced it to anybody. I'm just posting it and not really telling anybody unless you're finding it like via Mastodon or the YouTube algorithm. I haven't been posting about it really anywhere. So thank you so much if you're watching this thing. Really, it does mean a lot. If you are listening to this on your podcast app of choice, maybe consider leaving a review. That'd be great. I will talk to you later. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye-bye.